Hello, hello. Othania here, and today I am talking about why do you keep manifesting the same cycles? Whether it's relationships, the workplace, whatever it is, why do you keep repeating the same cycles? And it is because you continue to be aware of the problem and you continue to identify as someone that is aware of the problem. Now, when I say you continue to identify as someone who is aware of the problem, I mean that you're more, you're thinking, you're aware of why you don't have what you have more than thinking from the place of somebody that will already have it. That's why. So you can't lie to you. That's why a lot of the times when it feels like you get frustrated and finally decide to give up, that's when whatever it is that you wanted to manifest comes through. Because you cannot lie to yourself. Yourself genuinely knows when you are not constantly chasing or going after a particular thing where you are causing like an over access of the wrong focus on it. So you keep repeating the same cycles because you continue to be the same person that thinks the same way on a consistent basis, right? So everyone in your reality, it is not just an SP thing, a romantic manifesting thing. Everyone in your reality that comes across your awareness has basically no free will in your reality, basically, right? Because people are reflecting your assumptions. So if you are wanting to be in a successful relationship, but then it's hard for you to vision yourself with that person. It's hard for you to vision yourself happy. You have to get through that and you have to find a way to start visioning yourself with that thing. No one else is, you know, gonna make that conscious effort, but you have to make that conscious effort. You have to figure out a way to get acquainted with the mindset that has what they have. You have to find a way to get acquainted with the thoughts that you want to have. So if someone is showing up and they are showing up in ways that you do not like, you have to understand fully that that is coming from your assumption. It's not, oh, why is he acting like this? And then what are you thinking first? Let's get your beliefs and thoughts in order before you find yourself wanting to get mad at others because the others are just reflecting you and your reality. So when you start making what you're thinking and figuring out what you think, what you're thinking, and aligning with your thinking towards what you want more than blaming others or trying to get something, when you make, configuring and aligning your inner assumptions correctly, when you make that the main goal, now you're getting somewhere. Now you're moving forward. But until then, you will keep repeating the same thing because you are still thinking the same way about others and you're still thinking the same way about yourself. There's no one to change but self. If you're feeling like super depressed, then at some point You have to start talking to yourself and telling yourself, like, okay, I have to figure out what my joy is. I have to figure out how to start thinking better for myself. I don't know where I'm going to start, but I know I have to start doing this. It just takes thinking like that to get the ball rolling. You don't have to have a full out plan right away in seconds and minutes. But as long as you start shifting from someone that will feels like they're a loser, and as long as you start telling yourself, you know what, I'm not going to think like this anymore. That's all it takes. All it takes is a spark to start a fire. So that's how you have to start. That's what you have to start going towards with yourself. You have to start making your inner assumptions, your alignment, your energy, your frequency, vibration, whatever you want to call it, your inner world, that has to take priority. And then, because everything else is just following your assumptions. So you are repeating the same cycles because your thought process hasn't shifted enough to the person that believes they have that particular thing or the person that believes they have it all. You're still thinking from the problem. You're still thinking as the problem that you're still thinking as the person that has the problem when you should be thinking as the person that has solved the problem. So the problem and the solution are two different things, two different energies, two different thought process, two different mental states. When when you don't have a paycheck, you're probably, you know, anxious about money, but when you get your paycheck, you're relieved for the most part. So wanting and finally having are two different things. If they were the same thing, then they would be synonyms. They're two different things. Um, so you have to get the ball rolling for yourself and start you being your own cheerleader. You have to, if you want something, in order to get it, is to vision it. You have to make getting your visions more clear than trying to problem solve too much and figure out what's going on out here. Because once you get in here clear, out there automatically clears itself. You cannot you cannot think that you're going to live your best life from a sad and depressed mental state. You got to get the ball rolling for yourself. And you have to talk life into yourself. You have to. Um, because life is reflecting everything. It's reflecting your resistance, it's reflecting everything. Your positive thoughts, it's reflecting everything. And the more you just keep saying your affirmations, because you are affirming all the time. So even when you say things like, oh, my person doesn't want me, or if you say things like that, that's affirming. Even when you're having conversations, that's affirming. Everything you're telling yourself constantly is affirming. So either way, whatever you keep telling yourself, good or bad, is going to become a belief. And your beliefs, your assumptions, is what makes your individual reality. And everyone that comes across your awareness basically reflects what you think about them and your specific reality, which is why one person can treat so many different other people different than another person, because let's say a friend group. There's a group of friends, but one friend starts having romantic thoughts towards another friend. Now, if that friend continues to keep having romantic thoughts towards that other friend, now, the other friend is going to connect with them on that level and reflect those assumptions. The other friends will just most likely stay friends and won't reflect any romantic assumptions. But that one person that they're thinking about is going to reflect those assumptions, because everyone is just reflecting your own individual assumptions and your own reality. So whatever you keep affirming, whatever you keep repeating turns into a belief. We believe that the ABCs are the ABCs because that's what we have been taught, and that's what has been programmed, and it became an assumption and a belief, and that's what it is. It's cemented into fact. And that's just with everything. Everything we have been taught is a belief until we grow up and realize it's not total fact, that it was just a belief. But it became fact in our life because it was a belief. And so you change that belief and then you change the facts. So the more you repeat your affirmations, the more you will get the feeling of belief. And then naturally, without any effort or without anything that feels like too much effort, you will naturally start having new reflections in your reality that are more favorable for you. So, yeah, that's why you just keep repeating the same cycles, because it still hasn't clicked to you yet that literally everyone is reflecting your assumptions, and you haven't corrected those assumptions to see better reflections in your reality with those things or with those people. You cannot feel resentment, sadness, doubt, fear for so long about something without combating it with positivity and think that that thing is going to magnetize towards you with love. Just imagine, right? If, like, let's take away the manifestation thing out the mix real quick. And just imagine if you knew someone didn't like you and had certain thoughts towards you, you would be like, oh, get away from me. I don't like you. Why are you thinking like that about me? You want to be away from them, right? So it's the same thing. But your reality, for you to understand, in order to attract something out of love, the thoughts first have to be loving. Period. The mirror is reflecting you. There's no such thing as having thoughts constantly full of anxiety, constantly full of fear, constantly full of doubts, constantly full of lack of confidence. And think that life is going to just reward you with everything that you want. It doesn't make sense. What makes sense is that when you see yourself in a better light, things change. Because wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't you want to be more loving towards someone that's more loving towards you? Wouldn't you want to be closer to something that gives off that better vibe? So be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of where you're taking action from. What mental state are you taking actions from? Because that's why you keep repeating the same cycles. If you keep taking action and you want a relationship and you keep taking actions out of fear, constantly having your anxiety spiking, you are creating your nightmare relationship. And in order for you to reverse that, and in order for you to stop that, you have to stop that. You have to stop seeing yourself not having what it is that you want, because that's your bad habit for now. And, you know, certain people are different than others because certain people didn't have, you know, certain things growing up. Some people had more loving parents. Some people were completely ignored as kids. And they can't seem to understand why they have relationships where they're like basically completely ignored, getting ghosted. So it's like it's always coming from something. And once you go back and figure out what was that first feeling that gave you that first feeling of not being chosen, you could rewrite it. You could rewrite it. So it's like when you want to take the weeds out of the garden, you don't want to just cut the weeds because it's still there. You want to pull it all the way out, get rid of it entirely from roots, So that's what I mean when I say you want to get rid of it from roots. What I mean is identify that first feeling, and it will make sense of why you carried that feeling about yourself all along, and then you shift it, and the reality shifts. You have to make your alignment with self, your better assumptions, priority, more than trying to make a move and fix something out there. Because you will just be in a revolving door for years. It's possible to do it for years if you just keep constantly, constantly not seeing yourself with what you want to have. You have to see yourself with what you want to have in order to have it. When I wanted my car, I literally saw myself driving. I saw myself. I didn't know exactly what car I was going to get yet, but I saw myself in it. I saw myself in it. When I wanted to have a baby, I saw myself with a baby. My first child would be a girl. And that's exactly what I got. When I see someone I'm attracted to, I see myself with them. I see them liking me. And then we get together. When I want to win something, I see myself with it. I stopped seeing other people with what I'm going to have because I noticed that it will only create realities where I don't have to think. You have to see yourself as the champion in reality. You cannot see anything or anyone as better than you in order to get yourself to the reality where you win. A lot of the time, I knew that I wanted to win, but my mentality was loser like because I would picture someone else having what I wanted. I might as well would have, hey, take my money, take my power, take everything since I'm doing that. Because you're robbing yourself when you do that, literally. Okay. And to break the cycle, you have to get fed up with the old self. You have to. It's like moving on from someone you just don't want to be around anymore. You're done. There's no turning back. And you move forward and you proceed with a better life. So you have to start talking to yourself and telling yourself that you are the person that gets what you want. No matter what has happened before, you get everything now. If you want to revise your past, if you want to say you've always been a person that's gotten what you want, then say that. But you have to start seeing yourself with what you want. It's not going to work no other way. It's not. Because No one is living your life but you. And the minds and your body is creating your reality. So be just be mindful of what you're thinking, analyze it, and correct it. And you will start seeing shifts in your favor happening. I want to make sure that's everything that I wanted to say. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. So if you ever need any coaching on how to eliminate anxiety, clear resistance, so you can actually bring in it is that you want. Um, bring in what you want. I'm available. You can check out my availability in the description box below. And also, Create Your Future has a free course that I think is very, like, you should just do it. If you haven't checked it out, just do it because it's going to help you understand what you're doing when it comes to trying to get a reality that you want. Okay. So, yes, until next time, break yourself out of those cycles by seeing yourself with what you want. You have to learn how to see yourself with what you want more than trying to make it happen in the 3D. Okay? So, see ya until next time.